In this presentation, we are going to look into the basics things which are related to insurance. First, I will take you through the types of industry which are in India for you. We have non-life insurance. Okay, we have non-life insurance. We have life insurance. Okay, and health insurance. We have life insurance and we have health insurance. These are the three types of industries which are health insurance. These are the three types of industries in India. Okay. Life insurance, which deals with non-life insurance, deals with which we normally call as general insurance in India. It deals with vehicles, properties. Okay. And life insurance is related to life, and health is with regard to medical and health. Now in India, we as an agent, we are called as an agent. Agent can represent one life insurance company. Okay. So when you represent in one life insurance, when you represent a single life insurance company, we are supposed to get a license from IRD and we are supposed to submit form 1A. Okay, we will submit form 1A. Similarly, an agent can work with one life, non-life, and one health insurance also. So one non-life, one life, and one health insurance. This is what actually we call as composite agent. Okay, this is what we call as composite agent, and for they have to submit form 1B. The validity of your license is 3 years. Okay, before 3 years of expiry, you have to renew your license. For that, it's nothing but just undergo a training, 25 hours of training, and then renew the license. Now, in your text on your question papers, you have to be very careful. In so many places, they will use only the word insurance. If they denote the word insurance, it's actually non-life insurance. Okay, they will not ask the question as non-life insurance. They just mention as insurance. So you have to just check whether it is related to non-life or life insurance. Okay, so that you have to be very careful. Now, now there's like in the concept which we call as now asset. Let us consider an asset. Every asset has an economic value. Okay, every asset has an economic. Every asset has an economic value. For example, a car has a value. Take a table has an economic value. House. So every asset has an economic value. Asset can be broadly classified into three categories. One we call as physical assets. Okay, we can be called as physical, and then we can call it as non-physical assets. Okay, and also you have personal assets. Okay, so these are broadly classification of the assets. See, for example, if you take a car is considered to be a physical asset. Non-physical asset, goodwill, the reputation you create, that is non-physical. Personal, for example, which is part of your body, your eyes. Okay, this is a personal asset. These are examples for you. Now, what's the problem with the asset? The assets over a time, they can lose value. Okay, assets lose their value. Now, there are two under what circumstances does it lose value? There are two circumstances. One is natural, which is natural wear and tear. We call it depreciation. That is one thing. And another is there are certain risk which is associated with this unexpected. Okay, so with unexpected in the sense, this is uncertain. We cannot expect this when it can happen. So over the time they lose the value because of natural and unexpected. Natural, nothing can be done, whereas for an unexpected thing, okay, because there is a risk, they have a risk which is an unexpected risk, so that it can be insured. Remember one thing, life, there are different types of risk. There are expected and unexpected risk, but only unexpected risk can be insured when it comes to life. See, for example, if you take a human being, death. Okay, is death expected or unexpected? Is death certain or uncertain? Death is certain. Okay, but what is uncertain is the time. Okay, time is uncertain. So whenever you want to have insurance, there should be some uncertainty which has to be linked to that. Okay, then only it can be insured. Now let us take a situation. Let us take life itself. If you ask me life, what are the types of risk you have in life? Two types of risk are. One is dying too early. Okay, dying too early is also a risk, and also living too long. Living too long is also a risk. Both are risk. Okay, dying too early and living too long. Because even death happens, that is impacting my family. If I am living too long, then I have to ensure that I have to face all the consequences in my life. I have to meet every financial situations in my life. Okay, because I require a lot of money to live for a long time period. So both is risky. Now let me take one risk. In life I will take the risk which is called as death. Now, reason for death. Under what circumstances can death happen? One is disease and another is accident. So these are the two circumstances under which death can happen. This is what we call as peril. Okay, peril is nothing but which causes risk. See, for example, if you take a house, okay, you take a house can have damage. Am I right? They can get damaged. Now, what are the reasons for the damage? It can be either fire, it can be flood, it can be earthquake, it can be lightning, landslide. So these are all what we call as peril. Perils are nothing but which causes the risk. Now coming back to this, death is the risk and peril is the disease. Now there is one more factor which we call as hazard. Hazard is nothing but the factor which influences the risk or which increases the risk here. See, for example, suppose I am meeting a person. Suppose I have a habit of consumption of alcohol. So what is naturally happening here? When consumption of alcohol is there, the possibility of disease is high, so that the death is high. So that is what we call as hazard. Hazard is nothing a factor which influences the risk. Okay. Now this can be classified into two categories: physical and moral. I will tell you what is physical hazard and moral hazard. Okay, just for your understanding, suppose for example we are meeting a person and we are talking to him, and he discloses that, yeah, I drink. He accepts that he drinks, or he discloses that he tells you that he is drinking. Then that becomes a physical hazard. Now, in case this person is not disclosing that, okay, he is not revealing that, his about habits, and then he is going for insurance, that is what we call as moral hazard. So same thing, different situations. Okay, once disclosed or identifiable, that becomes a physical hazard. Moral, if it's not disclosed, it's challenging to identify this, so we cannot do anything. Okay, so this is basically risk. Now let us look how can we manage risk in our life. Okay, how can we manage risk? For example, I will take you through a topic which we call as risk management. Risk management. There are different ways through which we can manage our risk. Number one thing is risk avoidance. Risk avoidance, that means I am avoiding that particular situation. Okay. For example, I'm riding a bike to a hill station on a rainy day. I can avoid that. Okay, I'm not ready to take that risk. That is risk avoidance. Second is risk retention. Risk retention is nothing but I am ready to take the consequences, whatever happens. I am ready to bear that risk and the cost. Okay, that is what we call as risk retention. Okay, see, for example, small value products. If we have a pen or a table, we don't insure because we know that, okay, no matter, I can retain the risk. It's possible for me to overcome the situation. Then you have is risk reduction. or risk control. Okay, risk reduction or risk control is nothing but, for example, you have a lot of stock in a warehouse. Okay, now there are risks associated with that stock. Why? Because if there is a fire which happens, the stock might get damaged. So what do? We put a fire extinguisher or a fire alarm. Okay, fire extinguisher or a fire alarm, so that I can reduce the risk. And the other thing is, other major things, there are certain risks in our life which we cannot do anything, that we are supposed to transfer to another person. That is what we call as risk transfer. It's a methodology of risk financing also, how to finance risk. Risk transfer is nothing but this is what we call as insurance. So if you ask me what is insurance, insurance is nothing but just transferring the risk. Okay, see, there are certain risks which cannot be borne by us, so that what we do, we transfer that to a third person. That is what we call as actually insurance. So taking a recap, avoidance means avoiding certain things in our life, knowing that it is risky, we can avoid. Retention, retaining ourselves and taking, we ourselves are ready to face the consequences. Risk reduction, reducing the risk or having a control over that. That is, for example, putting a fire extinguisher or a fire alarm in a warehouse. And the last one is what we call as risk transfer. Risk transfer is nothing but insurance. That is, I am transferring my risk to a third person. That is what we call as insurance. See, that is actually okay. Insurance is nothing but transfer of risk. And then as part of risk management, there is two more things which we can do. Is one is loss prevention. Okay, loss prevention. Loss prevention is nothing but there are two things which comes here. One is loss prevention and another is loss reduction. Okay, now what is loss prevention? Loss prevention is then reducing the chance of occurrence of risk. Okay, reducing the chance that you ensure that the particular risk doesn't happen. Okay, see, for example, if I know that I am riding a bike on a rainy day. Okay, I know that it is challenging. Okay, so what I do, even though I want to do that, I wear a I avoid it. I avoid that situation. I don't ride it. That is loss prevention, because it is injurious to health. Whereas loss reduction is reducing the degree of loss. See, what I do is, when I'm in a rainy day, fine, I will go ahead, I will ride that bike, but I will put some jackets to ensure that I'm not impacted by the rain, and you wearing a helmet. Whereas if something happens, I can reduce the degree of the loss. Okay, but remember, the risk cannot be prevented. Okay, we can never prevent the risk which is happening in our life. But whereas what you can do is, risk cannot be prevented, where the loss can be prevented or reduced. Okay.